happy where they are staying. Because if they are not happy where they are staying, everything else is a complete disaster. So, we have 3 areas. We split our accommodation into 3 areas, okay? We have, the easiest to understand is hotels, obviously hotels with different levels of grading, host families and shared apartments. I'll start off with the hotels because it's the easiest, like I said. Hotels are hotels, I don't need to explain. You are staying in what is typically a 5-star hotel in Malta, but a business 5-star hotel, not a resort 5-star hotel. So you don't have a beach, you don't have lots of leisure facilities, but the hotel is in the center of Sliema, so it's easily accessible, and you have the commodities that you would find in any other of the 5-star hotels. Obviously, not all students have the budget or the wish to stay in a 5-star hotel, but we find that a lot of our, let's say, executive customer clients, people maybe doing business English or advanced level, people of a certain, I don't know, spend, people who are being sent down by their companies as opposed to on their own personal budget, sometimes will opt for 5-star and 4-star hotels. We do offer a range of 3-star hotels as well, so technically anybody can choose where they want to stay. One word of advice, however, if you are ever recommending clients to stay in a hotel, is that the level of 3-star and 4-star hotels in Malta is different to what you would find on the continent. So, if you are in Italy, Germany, France, a 3-star hotel is normally a cost-effective hotel, very clean, with certain services. Sometimes a 3-star hotel in Malta will be below that standard, okay? Just to be clear. Doesn't mean that they'll be bad, but if somebody is coming with a certain impression, they might be disappointed if they're staying in a 3-star hotel. So it's always better to recommend somebody who wants to stay in a hotel and who is comfortable, and to stay in a 4-star upwards. That's my personal recommendation. Obviously, there are some people who are happy living in a tent, no problem. But, you know, it's just so you don't give the wrong advice. That's what I'm trying to say.
How much does it cost to stay in a tent?
What they are. Families who are opening their door to somebody to stay with them, obviously for payment. And it is the traditional type of accommodation that this industry was built on. The first students would all normally have stayed with host families in Malta. The industry was built up with teenage students coming down with their teachers. They still come down till today. And these students would normally stay with a typical host family in the area, which has its advantages and its disadvantages. I mean, the advantages are very simple. For a person staying with a local family, you get local knowledge, you get local assistance, you have somebody there who's taking care of certain things for you, laundry, breakfast, lunch, you know. You form part of a family, so you can fit into the family, and normally that is a comfortable environment for a certain bracket of people. The disadvantages are you don't have your own privacy, you have to conform to what is happening with the family. For instance, if a family has dinner at 7 o'clock in the evening, you technically have to be home at 7 o'clock in the evening to have dinner. They can be flexible, plus or minus 30 minutes, an hour, but you can't just turn up at 10 o'clock in the evening and demand supper, because it won't happen, you know, this type of thing. Obviously, for some parents sending young children, they want their children to be in a secure environment. So, having a mother and father at home in contact with the school, if their son or daughter is not obeying the curfew or something like that, it's very quick for the information to get back to them and stuff like that. So you have that controlled element. I would say it's perfect for younger students. Sometimes it's perfect for older students, but I think the bracket between sometimes 20 to 35 sometimes could be an issue, because obviously people also at that time in their life come down to have as much fun as possible, whatever, and sometimes that clashes with being part of a family, because sometimes people go for a family because it's very cost effective, but then they don't like the restrictions of being in a family. So it's very important, I think, to always try to match the students' needs with the right type of accommodation. When it comes to host families, we always look to match the student with the family. So all our host families, we have about 147 families at the moment who work with us, and they're all different. There are young families, older people, there's a whole mixture. Every single family, we have a host family profile. So we tell you where they live, how far they are from the school, who they are, how old they are, if they have children at home, if they have pets, what pets, all these type of things. So we match the student. So if you have a client who says, I want to stay in a host family, but I'm allergic to cats, obviously we won't match that student with a family who has cats. If a student says, I want to be in this particular area, if they know Malta, if they've done some research, we will find a family in that area, this type of stuff. We will always give you, as soon as we have allocated a student with an accommodation profile, we will immediately send the profile to you so that you have that information. Ideally, you look at that and make sure it is exactly what your client wants, and then you also pass on that information to the student, so the student knows where he is going, where he or she is going. A lot of the students choosing this type of accommodation will then also get in touch with the family before they actually come to Malta, send them an email, send them a letter, whatever, introduce themselves. Some people even phone up. They want to know where they're staying. I think it's an accommodation profile which can give a lot of satisfaction, because sometimes people really click and they remain friends forever and ever afterwards, even corresponding and whatever. Sometimes there is the chemistry, and as we know, we're trying to match people who have never met each other with people from a foreign country and staying together. Sometimes there is an issue and people don't feel comfortable. At the school, we immediately change the family if the student is not happy. So the process here in this particular type of accommodation is that if a student comes in with a valid complaint, we will listen to the complaint. That's what I was mentioning at the very beginning. First impressions, in-process questionnaire, end of stay. We see what the problem is. 90% of the issues can be sorted out by a quick telephone call to the family. But if for some reason they are not happy, we just change the family. And very often one change means everything is fixed and everybody's happy. So, you know, there's that element as well. What is important to know is that there's full backup from the school, and if there is an issue where somebody wants to change or wants to move for whatever reason, we facilitate that within the same 24 hours. Okay? The next, or the last one, is actually what we call our shared apartments. You are actually going to be seeing a typical apartment later on in the day to get an idea. This is our most popular type of accommodation. I'll tell you why. The apartments are a nice spec. They've got everything that you need in there, relatively modern. They've got Wi-Fi in there, included, free of charge. They've got television. They've got a fully equipped kitchen, living area, and normally consists of 3 twin-bedded rooms. So we have a maximum of 6 people staying in one apartment. Okay. Normally, young adults like to have their freedom, their privacy, and to have a decent accommodation perspective, which is of a low cost. I think the cheapest price we have, because there's a seasonality as well, is about €6.50 per person per night, which is less than a McDonald's hamburger, you know what I mean. So normally the students like to go for this. It gives them the chance to live with other students in the school. So you will have Spanish people, Italian people, French people, Korean people, let's say, mixed in one apartment together. A student can opt to share, which is normally what they do, so that they are sharing a room with another student, or they can opt to take the room for single use. So if somebody wants to take the room for single use, that is also possible. And then share the services of the apartment together with other students who are in the apartment. Obviously, sometimes there can be only 1 or 2 students in an apartment, because it depends on the time of the year, it depends on how many students and all this stuff. But that is a very popular option. All of them are very close to the school. Maximum.
How many students can you accommodate?
Well, we have maximum. What we do is this: we have 100 beds of our own, and then in peak season we take on an additional 100 beds in the same type of accommodation. So, any time out between January and June, we will have 100 people roughly staying with us in this accommodation. We then go up to 200 for the months of July, August, September, okay? And then it starts coming down to this time of the year where we go back to 100 again. So for the peak season, we kind of take on some additional apartments. Okay?
So you don't have any problem finding a shared apartment for students?
We have problems in the peak season, because even 200 beds is never enough. That's a problem. This school will have, obviously not this building alone, this school will cater for about 1,000 people at any one time in July, August and September. Yes. We get about 7,800 students a year, thereabouts, 7,000 students I think this year, a year, and at any one time, with all the students staying in host families, shared apartments and hotels, we will have around about 1,000 students. Very often, the large percentage of that, around about 600 of those 1,000, will be junior students coming down in groups in July and August. and staying for 2 to 3 week programs here. But then obviously we always have that kind of constant figure, when I'm talking about 1,000 in the period between the 15th of July to close to the 15th of August. That 1 month is our peak season. Unfortunately, everybody wants to come down at the same time. That's a problem. So in Malta, we end up with a lot of people in July and August, and very little people in December and January. But that's the way it is.
You said